The next selection is Maine's Black Future, conceptualized and created by Genius Black for the Maine Monitor.
Black Future.
My name is Genius Black.
And I'm TJ Trueh.
And I'm Jordene Trueh.
More from Genius, TJ, and Jordene in a moment. But now, a story from Maine's unique Black history. Moses Samuel Green was born in Maryland in the year 1852. He was born into enslavement but gained his freedom as a youth. Later, in 1888, Moses arrived in Portland, Maine. The same year, Union Station opened. Moses worked in this busy train station as a bootblack for over 50 years, but he built substantial wealth outside of the station altogether. He and a few Black contemporaries started a successful real estate company focused on owning, leasing, selling, and improving buildings of all kinds. Weathering the rigors of Maine's racism and her blustery winters, Mr. Green championed Black property ownership and community leadership. Let me set the scene for you back in 1888 in Portland, Maine. In 1888, horses and trains were still the heartbeat of travel across Maine. Trains connected Portland to major cities like Boston and New York, carrying freight and passengers through the region. Meanwhile, horses kept everyday life moving closer to home, helping people get around town, making local deliveries, and handling the heavy work that kept the community running. Amongst this hustle and New England bustle, Moses Samuel Green ran a shoe shine or bootblack business. A bootblack is someone employed to polish boots and shoes and generally operates a stand with elevated seats so that patrons can sit and easily have their shoes polished and shined. Considering the grime of a busy city, polished shoes were an expression of social status, self-pride, and a way to elongate the life of increasingly popular leather shoes. Then, in 1911, Moses formed the Eastern Real Estate Company of Portland with his neighbor and a group of African American men. He was the founding treasurer, and the company's articles of association state that these men would carry on the business of owning, buying, selling, leasing, managing, improving, and dealing in real estate, of owning, erecting, occupying, leasing, improving, and managing buildings of all kinds. Moses supported many African American tenants and homeowners who had been treated unfairly, often due to racism, and had great success over the years. Moses amassed great wealth. In Maine's visible Black history, historian Bob Green states that, quote, Moses Green, who was born a slave in 1852, arrived in Portland the day after the new Union Station was opened in 1888. He opened up a shoe shine stand in the train station and eventually became the richest African American in Portland, if not in the state of Maine. End quote, page 149. Eastern Real Estate Company of Portland meeting minutes from September 28th of 1915 note that as the meeting was called to order, Brother Moses S. Green offered a prayer. Moses was a man of action and a man of faith in God. He was an active supporter of Portland's early A.M.E. Zion Church and actually purchased the lot that still holds Green Memorial A.M.E. Zion Church, named after Moses Green himself. Green Memorial is Portland's oldest Black congregation. A.M.E. stands for African Methodist Episcopal. These were the United States' first Black independent Protestant churches. They resulted from Black parishioners who faced segregation and decided to establish their own places of worship. All that said, Moses was a pillar in Portland's African American community until passing away in 1942. Moses Samuel Green is a name that rings out in Maine's history because he was a Union Station stalwart, a faith and community leader, and a wealthy real estate owner. Remember him and remember his name as you consider Maine's unique Black history and as we create Maine's Black future. Connecting the state of Maine's rich Black history to Black changemakers weaving Maine's Black future today. My guests today are an amazing couple with an inspiring story. TJ and Jordene Trueh are both parents and entrepreneurs. TJ is a powerful community voice and a professional voiceover actor whose work is featured in a widely released documentary on the foundational and the legendary African-American lawman Bass Reeves. Jordene is the founder of Back River Blends and creator of their award-winning Jamaican Jerk Marinade. Jordene is a grant winner and a CEI-sponsored entrepreneur. Back River Blends received a Broderson Award for their bold branding and packaging design in collaboration with Sabrina Valente Design. Back River Blends is also featured in Yankee Magazine's special holiday issue. Get ready to meet TJ and Jordene Trueh. Jordene, where did you grow up?
I was born in Kingston, Jamaica, and lived there for the first 12 years. Then we migrated to the United States to New York, to Brooklyn, and it was definitely a culture shock. I remember the day we flew into New York City, everything was covered in white. It was one of the worst blizzards in a couple decades.
And TJ?
So I was born and raised in Silver Spring, Maryland, which is just outside of Washington, D.C.
Where did y'all meet?
We actually met in college in a biology class, yeah. She'll deny this, but I used to sit in the corner of the classroom, in the back corner, because one of the arms on my glasses was broken. So I would use my hand to kind of hide that. And I know she was laughing at me, but I think she also found it kind of cute. And then there was another time we happened to run into each other in the mall. She casually ignored me. So that made me even a little bit more interested in her. But yeah, met in college and have been together ever since.
Jordene, I saw your face. It wasn't the casual ignoring. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I did not ignore him. I think I just didn't see him at the mall. And I don't remember his glasses being broken at that time. But I just thought he had this very, just like, it was sort of mysterious. Like, he didn't really talk much. And he actually reminded me a lot of my dad. And when we did talk, he was like a man of very few words. I remember asking him to go out with me to a movie.
Yeah.
All right. And apparently that went well.
That went well. Yeah, right. 20-something years later. Yeah. So I can say it went well.
Right on.
It's actually 30-something.
30-something. I stand corrected.
Hey, so y'all got together, met in college, and this was in Maryland.
This was in Maryland, yep.
And were y'all thinking about maybe moving somewhere else? Was that something floating around, or how did that come about?
No, I'll tell you, no. Really had no intentions. Even though, born and raised in Maryland, I still never really felt comfortable there. There were always too many people. But in my mind, this is where I was. there wasn't necessarily a desire to get up and go anywhere.
For you, Jordene, what was going through your mind?
I always had the travel bug. So I always was excited about moving and looking at living other places, even if it was just traveling for just a short time. I remember being in Jamaica, my parents would take me to the airport on many occasions, and we would sit and in the I don't know what the name of it, observation deck. And we would just watch flights come in and out for hours. That was, I don't know why they did it, but it was something we did all the time. So it was just like, there was this like mystery about where all these people would go. I would tell, sort of create stories in my mind about seeing all these planes come and go, and where what people were doing was what formed that desire to travel and see new places.
That's so cool, actually. Thank you for sharing that. That wonder that presented itself inside of you just by watching those patterns and not knowing the ends that those people were going and coming from,
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I guess the impetus really for us even starting the discussions around moving was me buying a wood stove. In Maryland, particularly where we lived, not a lot of people had wood stoves, but we lived in an older house, which didn't have great insulation. A friend of mine had bought a wood stove, so I decided to get one as well.
A wood stove?
Wood stove.
I was in Brunswick, Maine, the first time I ever really experienced a wood stove. Shout out Jill, the mother of my children, and her mama, Lynn, who were at her house in Brunswick. And I went over one time, and the wood stove was crackling. And I couldn't even hear it yet. But I was like, what? With this smell, the type of heat, it was something different, Tell me a little bit about the wood stoves in your life.
When we bought the stove, I immediately fell in love with it. I fell in love with the whole idea of gathering and processing firewood. So it got to the point where the arborists or guys that would cut down trees within our neighborhood knew me as the guy that they could drop all their wood off at our driveway. For like 2 years. We couldn't park in there because I had so much wood built up. So I would come home from work and spend my evenings or on a Sunday processing wood, right? And had my whole backyard full of it. And that really got me kind of into this idea of living a more country lifestyle, right? And that was really what kind of opened the door and got my mind to thinking, well, I could certainly use a little bit more land, move a little further out so I can process my wood. And that's kind of how the story began for us looking for something a little bit more than what we had.
Understood. And I got to ask, because I know that the listeners are thinking this. When you was chopping all the wood, bro, did it make you jacked?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Listen, look, nothing makes you feel more like a man than splitting a piece of wood, right?
Bro.
And having that wood yield to the power of that axe,
I'm not here to just be like, let's randomly destroy trees. We obviously burn them. We do things on purpose. We take care of the wood. But I think it's such a powerful image. And it opened you up to this Maine way of life. Like, I feel like maybe there were other clues that started to draw y'all to Maine.
It seemed like Maine, there were things that were drawing us to Maine. We started to realize like there were so many people in our lives that had been there, and we never knew that they were from Maine or had some connection to Maine. One example was like I worked in this small office, and there was probably 10 of us, and I would say probably 6 of those people either grew up in Maine or had connections with Maine and visited regularly. So it was nice to be able to have people to sort of ask questions and, tap into resources. I also noticed like there were so many cars in Maryland with Maine tags that I had never, noticed or paid attention to before. But it felt like as if like we were being guided to Maine. We just knew right away, like, this was where we needed to be.
And I remember TJ was telling me that y'all visited, experienced Wolf Necks Park, had some good times with the kids. What was that like, TJ?
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. In Maryland, there aren't any natural lakes, right? So to come here and to be able to access the water, right? A lot of spots in Maryland you can't because there's bacteria and things in the water. So, I was initially hesitant for our kids to get in the water, but just realizing that this is a completely different environment and atmosphere. And to watch their faces and watch them enjoy that. We came up here in the summer of 2016, stayed in Freeport, and it was just wonderful. I actually stayed in Durham with some friends who took us around to the Freeport area, down to Saco, OOB. So it was just having that experience and everything so close to us, as opposed to Maryland, where the beach is 2 or 3 hours away, and it can take just a tremendous amount of stress to get there, right? And then you're only there for a couple of hours. And when you come up here, you have the opportunity to be engaged in so many things that are so close to you. And we decided this is the place where we want our children to grow up.
Shout out Durham, Maine, by the way, because shout out Durham. I love hearing about how you appreciated being able to get up in the water. People in Maine forget about that's an actual, whether you want to say a privilege or convenience or whatever. There's places in the world where that's just not really popping. But since we mentioned, can you tell us how old your kids are and just who they are?
Yeah, we have a daughter, Camille. She is 17, and our son, Aaron, is 14.
Right on. Camille and Aaron, shout out. TJ, I want to talk about the Voice of Trueh. Hear a little bit about how it came about, what your inspiration was, and just your journey as a voiceover artist.
Yeah. So it had been something that I had always been interested in, but I would say it didn't really kick off until the journey began about 20 years ago, where I saw on Entertainment Tonight a segment on voice actors, and they were featuring Don LaFontaine. Mm-hmm. And Don LaFontaine is a voiceover legend. He's the in a world guy that you have heard in movie trailers from the 70s up until the 2000s. And just watching him perform, right? Watching his life and what was done, it was amazing to me. The ability to tell a story with your voice really inspired me. So it was always in the back of my mind, but it wasn't until we got here to Maine that I had the opportunity, with the kids being a little bit older, to actually move forward on my dream and then begin my life as a voice actor.
I also remember growing up listening to those types of commercials and ads and being in awe at that particular voice actor's ability to make me feel like I'm in a different space.
Right.
Like, I don't even have to watch the movie, and this guy's voice and delivery already melted my disbelief.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to watch the spy movie, and I haven't even started yet.
Right. And that's the key, being able to transport people. So whether it's a movie trailer or it's an audiobook or even if it's a commercial, right, that concept or idea of being able to take something and put someone's mind somewhere else, right? Maybe it's putting them at ease, right? Because of the comfort of your voice, or reassuring them, or giving them the encouragement that they need. Whatever it is, there's something special in being able to do that with just my voice, right? Getting behind that mic and being able to do something that not everybody can do. On-screen acting is great, right? But, I look at voice acting and it's something that, because I'm not on screen, right, I've got to put a little bit of extra effort into it, right, to make sure, that I can transport that person to whatever the client wants in regard to that particular job.
And I've heard some of your work. You do a great job.
Thank you.
But how did you kind of really settle into, I guess, having your own space to record? Yeah,
so Jordene graciously allowed me to take up the back half of our closet, right, on this venture. So I decided early on that I'm going to pour everything into this, right? From an effort perspective, knowing that, there's a possibility that it could fail. I bought a cheap microphone, got some acoustical equipment, some blankets, set myself up and started on freelance platforms like Fiverr and Upwork. I remember the first job that I did was, I think, $15 for a YouTube movie recap, right? I mean, I was terrified, but it gave me that first foray into voice acting. And the client loved it, did another job with him, and just started rolling from there. Joined a voiceover academy to really ensure that I was taking this seriously, being with other voice actors and coaches that had a wealth of knowledge and allowed for me to really grow and develop as a voice actor. I moved on into what they call pay-to-play sites. So you pay a fee and you get a chance to audition. And from there, just continuing to do that, picking up clients on my own to where I am today.
Because I know a lot of people have interest. They might have good voice. They wonder, how do I even get into it? What is needed? I appreciate both of y'all being here because aside from being parents and having multiple roles in life, you're both entrepreneurs. And so, Jordene, tell us a little bit about Back River Blends and what inspired you early on.
Well, yeah, I think Back River Blends was inspired probably many, many years ago as well when from the time I was in Jamaica and just growing up, having the ability to grow and get food that was fresh and very local to us was probably like the very beginning. And then our big thing that happened was that when our daughter was born, she was diagnosed with severe food allergies. And that was very impactful for both her and us, and making decisions about not only what she could eat, but what we would do with our dollars and how we looked at food moving forward, what we would spend our money on, even the products, the other household products that we purchased. She was on formula, a plant-based amino formula for 4 years because she could not, there was very little that she could eat that wouldn't make her sick. And so I didn't have this Back River Blends wasn't something that I thought about at that point, but certainly as time went on, it was important to me whether I was baking for friends or cooking or starting this business, that whatever I was making was going to be not only taste great, but good for you, good for your body and your mind. And so our products are vegan. They're and free of the top 9 allergens. And, we try to buy local where possible and just source the best ingredients that we can.
Back River Blends, just tell the folks quickly what you create.
Yeah. So we are a Jamaican specialty food company. We manufacture Jamaican jerk marinades, and we're in about 24 stores across the country.
So when you're looking for some good jerk marinade, don't overlook Back River Blend. That was not a commercial, but you get it. You know what I'm saying? When your own child gets sick, we all as parents learn from that. We have to. But I love how you took your lessons in a way of thinking and then wove it into your product and into something that you could share with other people.
Yeah.
That's appreciated. And, none of us want our family members to be sick just from what we're eating.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to be able to sit down and whether you're cooking, for just your immediate family or for friends, you want to know that whatever you're making is going to be safe. It's going to be, you're not going to inadvertently make someone sick at the table, because that just kills everything, right? So, it's the whole idea is that you can eat our products and you feel carefree and just indulgent. It takes you to someplace else, especially, eating our products here in Maine or in the U.S. It kind of just takes you back to those Caribbean vibes and, leaves you warm and cozy.
Now that I'm getting the perspective of y'all's entrepreneurial endeavors, you both want to transport people somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Fire. But I don't have any wood to chop, but still.
Right, I know. But if I can make you think you're in a nice wooded space, right? Maybe you're on that island, right, with your jerk marinade enjoying yourself, right? Wherever I can transport you to, wherever she can transport you to.
Oh, it works together. It works
Exactly.
together. On this part of the podcast, I always like to just take a second, utilize the platform to highlight us. So I want to ask, and I'll start with TJ, just about any of your biggest successes in voiceover, whether it's an award or someone recognize you, or, when you hit a goal. I love to hear about when you do something that you're satisfied with.
Yeah. I would say my biggest success has been I was blessed with the opportunity to participate in a documentary on the life of Bass Reeves. It's currently streaming on Amazon and a couple of other platforms. And while it's great, right, to have my name on there, I think being able to tell his story in a real, factual way, and educate people on this legendary lawman, right? This legendary African-American lawman was tremendous. So I am extremely humbled by that opportunity, right? To put that out there to such a large audience. I know there's a series on Bass Reeves as well. So there's a lot about him out there now. So to be able to contribute to that and help people become more informed about who he was and the integrity of the man. This was a guy who arrested his own son, right? Because of the crimes that he committed. But just a pillar in Black history that I think more people need to know about and understand how he influenced law enforcement during his time.
Jordene, anything you want to share in terms of successes, ways you've been honored?
I would say my successes are around just like the support that I've gotten here in Maine as a entrepreneur, a new founder. I've been fortunate so far in the year and a half of this journey that we've been on. I was able to receive a grant to help support some of the work that I've done. I've been fortunate to find support from organizations like Coastal Enterprises and SCORE and others. I have a number of advisors and mentors that I've been able to find throughout this starting this business that have been really instrumental in just helping me, strategize and find additional resources to just help me on my path. And so those for me have been big successes, just being able to have people who've been in it, or even if they haven't been done, they haven't been on this particular road, they have a network of people that they can connect me with. So that's been my success so far.
Move to the next question, and it shifts the conversation just a little bit, but it's an important question and part of the conversation. But my question at this moment is, what does it mean to be Black in Maine?
I think for me, it's opportunity. Us moving to a place, or moving from a place that was pretty diverse to a place that is one of the least diverse states in the Union, offers us an opportunity to educate others about our culture, about who we are, hopefully dispel myths, right? I think when you come to a place like Maine, not necessarily in a Portland area, but if you're out a little bit further, there aren't always opportunities for folks to get to know people who don't look, who don't act, who don't speak like them. So, where we live, we're out in Topsom, which is a little bit more rural. So it's great for us to be able to engage with folks who don't necessarily have the opportunity to talk to Black folk like us, right? Or understand that we're not all a monolith, but that we are diverse within our diversity, right? And to be able to share that with them, I think is a great opportunity for us here in Maine.
I do understand that, and I love diverse in our diversities. I appreciate that.
I agree with TJ that it does bring opportunity I think there's also a piece for me that comes with being here. Being in Maryland was just so busy, so stressful with traffic. There was always, just felt like there was always something going on. And here for me, being in Topsom, I think, is a good middle ground for us. It's close to Portland. It's close to wherever we need to get to. Close to airports, all those things. But it's also rural enough where it's you get that, like, you can get to know your neighbors. I pretty quickly made friends in my neighborhood from just walking and getting to know people. So, which is very different from being in Maryland. People are more closed off, it felt like. And so, yeah, I think I agree with opportunity, but I also, for me, just feel like it's just been a better place to have time to reflect and think about, like, what you want for your life. And it would hurt my heart, I think, if knowing that 10 years from now, I hadn't made any progress towards a dream that I wanted. So, and being here in Maine has allowed me to do that.
With the final question, what do you think, sense, and feel for Maine's Black future?
I will say that I was apprehensive a few months ago based on all that we've seen take place. But I have been reassured by what I've seen within our community as well as our allies. Quite a bit of doubling down on the cause to ensure that racial injustices are addressed. The gaps that we've seen are addressed, and a willingness to push back against a narrative that is detrimental to our community. So it certainly gives me hope for the fight going forward, right? And encourages me to continue that fight and to ensure that my voice is heard as well.
I'm hopeful about Maine's Black future. I see, as TJ mentioned before, there's a lot of support as we've talked with people and gotten involved, in with different organizations. What you hear sometimes on the news is, there is truth to that, but when you actually get involved in organizations and community, and you realize that that you're not so different. There are people or separated. There are people here in Maine who are truly invested in a future for all people. And I guess for me, I've been that kind of person to always get involved in community. I'm on 3 different boards, and that's one of the ways that I can, share my voice and ideas and help support different initiatives that are happening here. But I also feel like I just need to even roll up my sleeves even more and seek other opportunities to be able to help wherever that might lead, so that there is a future for not just me and for my children, but for any other child, no matter what they look like, no matter where their families came from. There is so much opportunity, not just in Maine, but if people had the ability to try for their ideas and try to accomplish dreams, that we would just be in such a better place. But oftentimes it feels like, crabs in a barrel. And so, and you don't, when you're an entrepreneur or trying to to run a business and you don't have support, it's very isolating. And oftentimes we run too far, don't do enough. We just don't have those resources available to us to be able to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And, all those different variables can affect, your success. It's not about failing so much as a business or entrepreneur. It's about learning how to recognize what's going on in the business and being able to pivot to meet the needs of whatever is changing around you. So, those are all things that I've been fortunate enough to learn through the organizations I mentioned before. And that reminds me of the organization that I'm a part of now, which is called Jericho Labs.
Mm-hmm.
They offer cohorts for founders like myself. Each one of us in our current group has a very different business than I do, but we can all learn. We're all learning together. We're all, learning about different resources here in Maine. And I just think that's just a tremendous opportunity and speaks to the future of Maine.
Thank you for sharing yourselves, your stories, your time, reflections of your family. I appreciate it, as do my listeners. And to the listeners, we'll be back again later, but for now, you have been listening to Maine's Black Future.